This is the second half of part 6 of the Cattle-Raid of Cooley, the March of the Host. Thereupon the hosts advanced, and as they went they felled the wood with their swords before their chariots, so that Slecha, the hewn road, is still the by-name of that place, whereas Partridge Becca, the lesser party, southwest of Sananas na Rig, Kells of the Kings, near Cuchulain. According to other books, it is as follows. After they had come to Fidwin, they saw a chariot, and therein a beautiful maiden. It is there that the conversation between Maeve and Fedlam the seeress took place, that we spoke of before, and it is after the answer she made to Maeve that the wood was cut down. Look for me, said Maeve, how my journey will be. It is hard for me, the maiden made answer, for no glance of eye can I cast upon them in the wood. Then it is ploughland this shall be, quoth Maeve. We will cut down the wood. Now this was done so that this is the name of the place, Slecha to wit. They slept in Cuchulain, which is Sananas. A heavy snow fell on them that night, and so great it was that it reached to the shoulders of the men and to the flanks of the horses and to the poles of the chariots, so that all the provinces of Erin were one level plain from the snow. But no huts nor bothies nor tents did they set up that night, nor did they prepare food nor drink, nor made they a meal nor repast. None of the men of Erin, whether friend or foe, was next to him until the bright hour of sunrise on the morrow. Certain it is that the men of Erin experienced not a night of encampment, or of station that held more discomfort or hardship for them than that night with the snow at Cuchulain. The 4 grand provinces of Erin moved out early on the morrow with the rising of the bright shining sun glistening on the snow, and marched on from that part into another. Now as regards to Cuchulain, it was far from being early when he arose from his tryst, and then he ate a meal and took a repast, and he remained until he had washed himself and bathed on that day. He called to his charioteer to lead out the horses and yoke the chariot. The charioteer led out the horses and yoked the chariot, and Cuchulain mounted his chariot. And they came on the track of the army. They found the trail of the men of Erin leading past them from that part into another. Alas, O Master Leg, cried Cuchulain, by no good luck went we to our tryst with the women last night. Would that we had not gone thither, nor betrayed by the Eltonians. This is the least that night that might be looked for from him that keeps guard on the marches, a cry or a shout or an alarm, or to call, who goes the road? This it fell not unto us to say. The men of Erin have gone past us without warning, without complaint, into the land of Ulster. I foretold thee that, O Cuchulain, said Leg. Even though thou wentst to thy woman tryst last night, such a disgrace would come upon thee. Good now, O Leg, go thou for us on the trail of the host, and make an estimate of them, and discover for us in what number the men of Erin went by us. Leg came on the track of the host, and he went to the front of the trail, and he came on its sides, and he went to the back of it. Thou art confused in thy counting, O Leg, my master, quoth Cuchulain. Confused I must be, Leg replied. Come into the chariot then, and I will make a reckoning of them. The charioteer mounted the chariot, and Cuchulain went on the trail of the hosts, and after a long while he made a reckoning of them. Even thou, it is not easy for thee. Thou art perplexed in thy counting, my little Cuchulain, quoth Leg. Not perplexed, answered Cuchulain. It is easier for me than for thee, for I know the number wherewith the hosts went past us, namely 18 cantrids. Nay more, the 18th cantrid had been distributed among the entire host of the men of Erin. Now many and diverse were the magic virtues that were in Cuchulain, that were in no one else in his day. Excellence of form, excellence of shape, excellence of build, excellence in swimming, excellence in horsemanship, excellence in chess and in draughts, excellence in battle, excellence in contest, excellence in single combat, excellence in reckoning, excellence in speech, excellence in counsel, excellence in bearing, excellence in laying waste and in plundering from the neighboring border. Good, my friend Leg, brace the horses for us to the chariot, lay on the goad for us on the horses, drive on the chariot for us, and give thy left board to the hosts, that we can overtake the van, or the rear, or the midst of the horses, for I will cease to live unless there fall by my hand this night a friend or foe of the men of Erin. Then it was that the charioteers gave the prick to the steeds. He turned his left board to the host till he arrived at the Turloch Cailmore, the creek of the Great Wood, northwards of Gnoba na Rig, north of the Kings, which is called Ath Gabla, the ford of the fork. Thereupon Cuchulain went round the host till he came to the Arth Grecna. He went into the wood at that place and sprang out of his chariot, and he lopped off a 4-pronged fork, root and top, with a single stroke of his sword. He pointed and charred it, and put a writing in Agram on its side, and he gave it a long throw from the hinder part of his chariot with the tip of a single hand, in such wise that 2/3 of it sank into the ground, and only 1/3 was above it in the mid part of the stream, so that no chariot could go thereby on this side or that. Then it was that the same 2 striplings surprised him, namely the 2 sons of Nera, son of Nuathar, son of Takin, who engaged in that feat, and they vied which of the twain would be the first to fight and contend with Cuchulain, which of them would inflict the first wound upon him, and be the first to behead him. Cuchulain turned on them, and straightway he struck off their foreheads from themselves, Eir and Indel, and from Foich and from Fochlam, their drivers, and he fixed a head of each man of them on each of the prongs of the pole. And Cuchulain let the horses of the party go back in the direction of the men of Erin, to return by the same road, their reins loose around their ears, and their bellies red, and the bodies of the warriors dripping their blood down the outside on the ribs of the chariots. Thus he did, for he deemed it no honor, nor deemed he it fair to take horses or garments or arms from corpses or from the dead. And then the troops saw the horses of the party that had gone out in advance before them, and the headless bodies of the warriors oozing their blood down the ribs of the chariots, and their crimson trappings upon them. The van of the army waited for the rear to come up, and all were thrown into confusion of striking, that is, as much as to say, into a tumult of arms. Maeve and Fergus and the Main and the sons of Maga drew near. For in this wise was Maeve wont to travel, and 9 chariots with her alone, 2 of these chariots before her and 2 chariots behind, and 2 chariots at either side, and her own chariot in the middle between them. This is why Maeve did so that the turfs from the horses' hooves, or the flakes of foam from the bridle bits, or the dust of the mighty host, or of the numerous throng, might not reach the queen's diadem of gold, which she wore around her head. "What have we here?" queried Maeve. "Not hard to say," each and all made answer. "The horses of the band that went out before us are here, and their bodies lacking their heads and their chariots." They held a council, and they felt certain it was the sign of a multitude, and of the approach of a mighty host. And then it was the Ulstermen that had come, and that it was a battle that had taken place before them on the ford. And this was the counsel they took to dispatch Cormac Congolas, Conchobar's son, from them to learn what was at the ford, because even though the Ulstermen might be there, they would not kill the son of their own king. Thereupon Cormac Congolas, Conchobar's son, set forth, and this was the compliment with which he went: 1,000 in addition to 200 armed men, to ascertain what was at the ford. And when he was come, he saw naught save the fork in the middle of the road, with 4 heads upon it, dripping their blood down along the stem of the fork, and into the stream of the river, and a writing in Agram on the side, and the signs of the 2 horses, and the track of a single chariot driver, and the marks of a single warrior leading out of the fork, going therefrom to the eastward. By that time the nobles of Erin had drawn nigh to the ford, and they had all begun to look closely at the fork. They marveled and wondered who would set up the trophy. One of their men deciphered the Agram writing that was on the side of the fork, to wit, "A single man cast this fork, but with a single hand, and go ye not past it till one man of you throw it with one hand, excepting Fergus." "What name have ye, men of Ulster, for this ford till now, Fergus?" asked Ihil. "Ath Grenka," answered Fergus, "and Ath Gabla, ford of the fork, shall now be its name forever from this fork. said Fergus, and he recited the lay. Grenca's ford shall change its name from the strong and fierce hound's deed. Here we see a four-pronged fork set to prove all Erin's men. On 2 points as signs of war are Fraich's head and Focham's head. On its other points are thrust Air's head and Inel's withal. And yon Algram on its side find ye, druids in due form. Who has set it up right there? What host drove it in the ground? A druid. Yon forked pole with fearful strength, which thou seest, Fergus, there. One man cut to welcome us, with one perfect stroke of sword. Pointed it, and shouldered it. Through this was no light exploit. After that he flung it down to uproot for one of you. Grenca was its name till now, all will keep its memory. Fork Ford be its name for aye, from the fork that's at the ford. After the lay, spake Ihil, I marvel and wonder, O Fergus, who could have sharpened the fork and slain with such speed the four that had gone out before us. Fitter it were to marvel and wonder at him who with a single stroke lopped the fork, which thou seest, root and top, pointed and charred it, and flung it the length of a throw from the hinder part of his chariot, from the tip of a single hand, so that it sank over 2/3 into the ground, and then not save 1/3 is above. Nor was a hole first dug with his sword, but through a grey stone's flag it was thrust, and thus it is geist for the men of Erin to proceed to the bed of this ford, till one of ye pull out the fork with the tip of one hand, even as erstwhile drove it down. Thou art of our host, O Fergus, said Maeve. Avert this necessity from us, and do thou draw the fork for us from the bed of the ford. Let a chariot be brought me, cried Fergus, till I draw it out, that it may be seen that its butt is of one hewing. And a chariot was brought to Fergus, and Fergus laid hold with a truly mighty grip on the fork, and he made splinters and scraps of the chariot. Let another chariot be brought me, cried Fergus. Another chariot was brought to Fergus, and Fergus made a tug at the fork, and again made fragments and splinters of the chariot, both its box and its yoke and its wheels. Again let a chariot be brought me, cried Fergus, and Fergus exerted his strength on the fork, and made pieces and bits of the chariot. There were the 17 chariots of the Connaught men's chariots were. Fergus made pieces and bits of them all, and yet he failed to draw the fork from the bed of the ford. Come now, let it be, O Fergus, cried Maeve. Break our people's chariots no more. For hadst thou not been now engaged on this hosting, by this time should we have come to Ulster, driving divers spoils and cattle herds with us. We wot wherefore thou workest all this, to delay and detain the host till the Ulstermen rise from their pains and offer us battle, the battle of the Táin. Bring me a swift chariot, cried Fergus. And his own chariot was brought to Fergus, and Fergus gave a tug at the fork, and nor wheel nor floor nor one of the chariot poles creaked nor cracked, even though it was with his strength and prowess that the one had driven it down. With his might and doughiness, the others drew it out. The battle champion, the gap breaker of hundreds, the crushing sledge, the stone of battle for enemies, the head of retainers, the foe of hosts, the hacking of mad masses, the flaming torch, and the leader of mighty combat. He drew it up with the tip of one hand till it reached the slope of his shoulder, and he placed the fork on Ihil's hand. Ihil scanned it, and he regarded it near. The fork, meseems, is all the more perfect, quoth Ihil. For a single stroke I see on it from butt to top. Aye, all the more perfect, Fergus replied, and Fergus began to sing praise of Cuchulain, and he made a lay thereon. Here behold the famous fork by which cruel Cuchulain stood. Here he left for hurt to all 4 heads of his border foes. Surely he'd not flee therefrom, for aught man how brave or bold, though the scatheless hound this left, on its hard rind there is gore. To its hurt the host goes east, seeking Cúalnge's wild brown bull. Warriors cleaving there shall be, neath Cuchulain's baneful sword. No gain will their stout bull be, for which sharp-armed war will rage. At the fall of each head's skull, Erin's every tribe shall weep. I have nothing to relate as regards Dechtair's son. Men and women hear the tale of this fork, how it came here. After this lay, let us pitch our booths and tents, said Ihil, and let us make ready food and drink, and let us sing songs and strike up harps, and let us eat and regale ourselves, for of a truth never before nor since knew the men of Erin a night of encampment or of entrenchment that held sore discomfort or distress for them than yesternight. Let us give heed to the manner of folk to whom we go, and let us hear somewhat of their deeds and famous tales. They raised their booths and pitched their tents. They got ready then food and drink, and songs were sung, and harping intoned by them, and feasting and eating indulged in. And Ihil inquired of Fergus, I marvel and wonder who could have come to us to our lands and slain so quickly the four that had gone out before us. It is likely that Conchobar, son of Fecna Fatlatch the Mighty, High King of Ulster, has come to us? It is never likely that he has, Fergus answered, for a shame it would be to speak ill of him in his absence. There is nothing he would not stake for the sake of his honor. For if he had come hither to the border of the land, there would have come armies and troops, and the pick of the men of Erin that are with him. And even though against him in one and the same place, and in one mass, and in one march, and in one camp, and on one and the same hill where the men of Erin and Alba, Britons and Saxons, he would give them battle. Before him they would break, and it is not he that would be routed. A question then, who would be like to have come to us? It is like that Cruscrade men, the stammerer of Machna, who would have come, Conchobar's son, from Innis Cruscrade? Nay, then, it is not he, the son of the High King, Fergus answered. There is nothing he would not hazard for the sake of his honor. For were it he that had come hither, there would have come the sons and kings and the royal leaders of Ulster and Erin that are serving as hirelings with him. And though there might be against him in one and the same place, in one mass and in one march and in one camp, and on one and the same hill as the men of Erin and Alba, Britons and Saxons, he would give them battle. Before him they would break, and it is not he that would be routed. I ask then whether Eogan, son of Durthnach, king of Fermag, would have come. In sooth, it is not likely, for had he come hither, the pick of the men of Fermag would have come with him. Battle he would give them. Before him, and they would break, and it is not he that would be routed. I ask then, who would be like to have come to us? Asked Ihil. I know not, Fergus replied, unless it be the little lad, my nursling in Conchobar's Cuchulain, the wolf dog of Cuchulain the smith, he is called. He is the one who could have done the deed, answered Fergus. He it is who could have lopped the tree with one blow from its root, could have killed the four with the quickness wherewith they were killed, and could have come to the border with his charioteer. Of a truth spake Ihil. I heard from ye that this little boy once on a time in Cuchulain. What might be the age of this little boy now? It is by no means his age that is most formidable in him, answered Fergus, because manful were his deeds, those of that lad, at a time when he was younger than he is now. In his 5th year he went in quest of warlike deed among the lads of Emrain Machna. In his 6th year he went to learn skill in arms and feats with Scathnak, and he went to woo Emer. In his 7th year he took arms. In his 17th year he is at this time. How so? Exclaimed Maeve. Is there even now amongst the Ulstermen one his equal in age that is more redoubtable than him? We have not found there a man at arms that is harder, nor a point that is keener, more terrible nor quicker, nor a more bloodthirsty wolf, nor a raven more flesh-loving, nor a wilder warrior, nor a match of his age that would reach to a 3rd or a 4th the likes of Cuchulain. Thou findest not here, Fergus went on, a hero is peer, nor a lion that is fiercer, nor a plank of battle, nor a sledge of destruction, nor a gate of combat, nor a doom of hosts, nor a contest of valor that would be of more worth than Cuchulain. Thou findest not there one that could equal his age and his growth, his dress and his terror, his size and his splendor, his fame and his voice, his shape and his power, his form and his speech, his strength and his feats and his valor, his smiting, his heat and his anger, his dash, his assault and attack, his dealing of doom and affliction, his roar, his speed, his fury, his rage, and his quick triumph with the feet of 9 men on each sword's point above him, like unto Cuchulain. We make not much import of him, quoth Maeve. It is but a single body he has. He shuns being wounded. He avoids being taken. They do say his age is but that of a girl to be wed. His deeds of manhood have not yet come, nor will he hold out against tried men, this young beardless elf-man of whom thou spokest. We say not so, replied Fergus, for manful were the deeds of the lad at a time when he was younger than he is now. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for part 7 of the Cattle-Raid of Cooley, the youthful exploits of Cuchulain. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you later. Thanks!